job number J-20225837-2. This is video number 2 being taken after doing extensive root cutting. We're again looking at the city main connection at around 100 to 101 feet. We're accessing the sewer through a 3-inch cleanout T between the water heater and laundry tub. As we pull back here, we're going to see the branch, the city main and the sewer lateral are clay, and we can see some fracturing happening right there off of the branch. That's just a little bit of extra concrete at the joint. But as we pull back, we can see this kind of a spiral fracture happening there. Also, we have some, it's hard to see because there's a bit of a shift, but as we pull back, we see it in the distance. There's, again, the spiral fracturing on the bottom of the pipe. Just a little bit of water pooling, not too massive there. Just a very fine fracture. We can see it spiraling up the pipe there, and then we can see it face on at the fitting. So about 95 feet is that very minor fracture. Just a normal pipe joint. See the remains of root penetration on about the 6 to 7 o'clock position, very well cut back at this time. Between about, we're approaching at the 81 foot mark, back to about 65 to 81. This upcoming section was almost completely full of significant root presence. Here we see another fracture spiraling up off to the right, remaining root at this segment. Looks like we have just a minor change in direction at this point. Have a fracture on the bottom of the pipe running laterally, very minor one compared to some of the upcoming ones. Now we have more compound fracturing on the bottom, the left, and the right, and the top. So we see we have these lateral fractures on 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 9 o'clock positions, running the length of this segment of clay. This is certainly the reason why we had such impacted root growth through this section, because not only do we have the cracking at the joints, but we also have fracturing, or that we don't. Not only do we have the seams at the joints, but we have some pretty significant fracturing laterally along this whole section. Here we have the fracturing bottom, left side, and top. Actually, there is a top, a left, and a right. It's hard to see because there's a little dark on the top, but we see there is 4 lateral fractures happening on this segment too. Spiraling down on the here we have what looks to be just a small section of clay missing on the bottom left, either missing or disintegrated at some point. We see a bit of a piece gone there at about the 7 o'clock position. And again, as we pull away, we can see the fracturing happening at the top and the sides as well. Moving through the next segment, again we have 4 lateral fractures through this section. going all the way. We also have a chunk piece there missing or disintegrating significantly at this next joint. Moving on to the next segment, we have fracture on the bottom, spiraling up to the left, and a fracture at the top. As we get a little bit farther back, we can see it running the top and one on the bottom. And then starting a side fracture there. We have some remaining root mass, very well cut back. Next segment, we have a fracture on the bottom, spiraling up to the left, not going the length of that segment. Remaining root at this next section, cut back very well. And another fracture at this joint, and then a fracture running laterally on the bottom, splitting two ways, spiraling up to the left and to the top. Remaining root mass at that joint cut back very well. Another minor fracture at the hub, just going from left to right, not laterally. Remaining root at the top cut back very well from what it was. Remaining root mass at this joint, also another lateral fracture on the bottom, and then spiraling up to the left and the right. Remaining root at this joint cut back very well. Remaining root cut back very well. Remaining root at this joint cut back nicely. Looks like we are reducing in size. This then must be 6-inch clay, and as we enter the home, we're changing then to 4-inch clay likely. Remaining root cut back nicely. More than likely that point at 38 is right outside the footing, because right here we have a Y connection on its back, visible there at the top of the screen, which would be our main building cleanout, located by the water meter towards the front of the home. Just upflow of that, we have root mass penetration within the home under the basement floor, cut back as nicely as possible. We ran in forward and reverse rotation to chop at these roots. Another root mass cut back nicely. Remaining root cut back nicely. Small remaining root cut back well. Branching off on a Y. The run of the Y is heading to the floor drain. We're branching off over towards the corner of the basement. And there was a bit of a root here at about 19 feet, just a tiny little bit to the upper left corner of the screen remaining. That cut back nicely. Another Y branch, which is likely heading over to the laundry tub drain between the washing machine and laundry sink. And at that Y there, the camera wants to look to the left more so, but there's a rip penetration that's cut back nicely. The remaining thick piece there is just sitting there, but it looks like it's loosened, it's just not flushed down yet. Another rip penetration here as we're approaching the base of the bathroom stack. Cut back as much as possible. Not too well visible, but there was a pretty significant rip mass here at the transition between clay and cast iron. We can see just a little bit of it on either side of the corner of the screen on the top left and right. The camera wants to face down because we're going through a 90-degree rotation, so we can't really get a good look at the top there. Transition to PVC. Our access point is through a PVC cleanout tee that's been installed at some point in the past into this cast iron stack.